Hello, I'm Suchen Christine Lim. I'm going to read from my collection of short stories, The Lies That Built a Marriage. And I'm going to read this story, My Two Mothers, which was commissioned by the women of the Free Community Church in Singapore for International Women's Day. And in this story, a girl is brought up by two amate, Chinese domestic servants in their 60s. She went to university. She grew up to be ashamed of her two mothers. For some reason she could not quite understand as a child. She absorbed a lot of shame from her neighborhood, and she never did like to be identified as the adopted daughter of the two mothers. But when she became a professor, years later, after the death of these two amates, she met Kathy and Louis, who had adopted two mothers and who were lifelong partners. And during that dinner with them, and having met the two girls, she thought about her two mothers, and then she began to regret that she hadn't shown much affection for them. And I'm going to read to you this part of her awakening. That evening, I did what I couldn't do all those years in Singapore. I told Laura and Kathy about Yiku and Loku. As I talked, my body grew light, my heart expanded, and I saw what I failed to see before. Yiku and Loku lived together for more than 50 years. If that isn't love, commitment, and fidelity, I don't know what is. Theirs was a more lasting relationship than many marriages today. That night, for the first time, I was proud of them and grateful. Two strangers, unrelated to you by blood, take you into their midst because your parents have died, or don't want you, or are too young or too poor to take care of you. So two strangers take you into their midst and give you a new life. How do you ever say thank you? That night, I remembered them. When Loku came home once a month to stay the night, she would sit in her cane chair on our tiny balcony that overlooked the back lane. Yiku would sit in her canvas chair. After dinner, they sat fanning themselves with a palm leaf fan while I cleared the table. They did not look at each other. They did not speak, but they were connected. An invisible cord bound them as it bound me to them. Two old amate sitting on the balcony above the back lane, insignificant and irrelevant in modern Singapore. Yet this image of them rising like a pale moon above the rooftops of the shop houses in Jalan Besar had helped me all these years. I thank them. This, by the way, is a real story.